Religion has many victims, and these are the stories of how they survived. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Awakening. I'm your host, Heather.
And I'm your co-host, Tamara, aka Jezebel. Welcome in and thank you all for listening to us tonight.
Our guest this week is someone whose very existence literally rewrote the rules of what Christian music is allowed to look like. Flamy Grant is a shame-slaying, hip-swaying, singing, songwriting drag queen from Western North Carolina. And in 2023, she became the first drag performer to top the iTunes Christian charts with her debut record, Bible Belt Baby. Today, Flamy joins us to talk about faith, drag, deconstruction, and what it means to build a church of your own making. Glitter, blistering, vocals, and all. Welcome in, Flamy. We're so excited to have you here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
And I
Uh,
see your pronouns there are they, she, so we will be certain to use those during the show. I love that you have those beside your name because we love to honor those things.
Yeah, thank you.
So, on The Awakening, we always talk about all things religious deconstruction. That's what we're all about over here. You know, so many of us were raised in these authoritarian religious environments. So, would you like to tell us what your religious upbringing looked like in North Carolina?
Oh, do I have to relive it?
no, not
Yeah,
if you don't want to.
no, that's just a joke. I
I
talk about it all the
know.
time. I write whole
You
albums of
write
music
songs
about
about
it, you
it.
know?
Yes.
Yeah, I was raised in Western North Carolina, in Asheville, which, if people know anything about Asheville, they probably know it as a pretty, like, it's a cool little
Yes,
artsy
it
hmm
is.
mecca,
Yeah.
in North Carolina, and it's kind of a blue dot in a what has been a reddish state for a while. We're slowly, hopefully, changing that. But
Yes.
the thing is, you can grow up anywhere, and if you're in a cult, you're in the cult. It doesn't really matter where you
Yes.
are.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, I was raised evangelical Christian, but more specifically, the denomination is called Plymouth Brethren, and it's a doozy. It's one of the it's really small. There's not a ton of Plymouth Brethren congregations out there, but I mean, the key features, the key facets are that it's very patriarchal.
Yeah.
Women cover their hair, they're not allowed to speak during the services. It is very decentralized. It's kind of like a Quaker meeting in that, like, there's no pastor, there's no leadership, no one gets paid, there's no staff. It's
Yeah.
just you come together, and the men, like, if you are a man, you are allowed to, like, lead the
Yeah.
service. So they kind of take turns um, calling out a hymn or saying a little
Yeah.
prayer or reading a scripture or whatever. And I think those are probably like the things that would like be a
Yeah.
little different from most evangelical spaces. But other than that, it was, I was raised on like James Dobson, focused on the
Oh,
family stuff. I
yes.
was I was
Yes.
raised to
We
not
have actually been talking about Dobson on our show the past several weeks because of all the harm that his teaching caused so many
yeah,
generations of kids, because we talk about how a lot of the kids are no contact with their parents now
yeah,
because we were
yeah.
horrifically abused, and James Dobson gave our parents full on permission to do that, right? Like,
Yeah, more
and
than
it's
permission.
wild.
He explained how to do it,
Yes, and
like
Yeah.
laid out the weapons. I don't even call them instruments. I call them weapons because that's what they were, and it's just
yeah.
insane when you go back and look at these things that were fundamental teachings that our parents were listening to and being like, "Oh yeah, this is how I want to raise my kids."
Yeah.
And you know, the thing about James Dobson is that he went across denominations. It didn't matter
Yeah.
if you were like, I was raised in an apostolic Pentecostal cult, if you were
Hmm.
non-denominational, if you
Yeah.
were Baptist, if you were actually whatever focus on the family actually is as far as a denomination, he was what everyone used
Yeah.
eh,
Yeah.
to
Because I was
discipline and to
yeah.
do things.
And I was raised Church of God, so we
Yeah.
had all
Hmm.
that stuff. But I mean, we had somebody else on that say, basically all these institutions, so many of them have the same issues, right? Because
Mhm.
patriarchy is in so many of them, and it
Yeah.
plays out the same, whether it's a Baptist church or, it doesn't matter. And
Yeah.
that's why I like having these conversations, though, because we, again, are continuing to expose the harm for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And talking about these systems is how we break them down. It's how we fight back against them. It's how we take our power back, how we take our voice back. So, did you end up being part of ministry then? Because I know you're a musician and you're
Yeah,
singer-songwriter.
yeah, I did. Interestingly enough, never really within my own denomination that I was raised in. For whatever reason, I just, despite the fact that I'm obviously a performer and obviously someone who, enjoys the spotlight to a
Yes.
degree, like I never once in my entire childhood or, teenage years or at all until I left that church, um, basically when I went to college, I never spoke up. I never used my privilege, if you will,
Yeah.
as a person who was being raised male and perceived as male in that world. Like I never
Yeah.
spoke up there, and I've always wondered about that, and like what was it that kept me from participating. I'm sure there's some deep psychological thing that I should probably unpack with a therapist, but I did get into like ministry, specifically worship leading. Like I was, a
Yeah.
church musician, starting in high school because I also went to a Christian school and we had weekly chapels that are as part of
Yeah.
our curriculum. So I would lead the music at those, but then in college was when I really got into like, oh, like there's a whole world where you can just
Yeah.
like be a church musician, and
Yeah.
that's what I did for like 22 years.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, and I mean, not as like my main job. It was
Yeah.
always kind of a volunteer position, except for
Yeah.
like I did have one 2 year stint where I was on staff at a mega church in Reno, Nevada, which that was interesting. But but yeah, I was, I joined like church planting teams. I moved to San Diego. I lived in San Diego for about 17 years, and the reason I moved there was to plant a church. And
Oh, how
so yeah,
interesting.
I did a lot, a lot of
Yeah.
lot of
But you're
ministry over
back
the
in North
years.
Carolina now. Are you back in North
I
Carolina?
am, yeah,
Okay.
three
Okay.
years ago, moved back. Yeah,
Well, that's incredible because I miss that place. Like you wouldn't believe the mountains. They're just so beautiful there.
yeah,
But so
it
what
really
led
is
you
lovely.
from, leading worship and playing music to deconstructing your faith?
Well, honestly, the fact that I'm queer, like,
Yeah.
I think I've said this before. I think that, I mean, I thank the heavens, I thank the divine, whatever. I thank the universe that I'm gay because I think if I weren't, I would have very easily been able to step into the same kind of roles that like I had a
Yes.
papa who was just kind of the pillar of our little spiritual community,
Yeah.
and he was such a driving force behind our church and just everything that we did. And he was, well, whatever. We don't need to talk about in too much detail about
Yeah.
Papa, but he was just like that person who
Yeah.
really believed and followed the letter of the law and all of that, but also was just like a product of the system,
Mm-hmm.
of patriarchal religion, and I could just easily see myself having followed in his footsteps
Oh,
if it
yeah.
weren't for the fact that I had this, this thing in me that I had to reckon with, and I delayed it as long as I could. I ignored it. I ran from my queerness. I was afraid of it. I tried to beat it out of myself, like literally in some cases, and I self-enrolled in conversion therapy for 5 years
Oh,
and
wow.
tried to be straight. And even
Yeah.
even after that period of time when that was clearly not working, I committed. I was like, well, I guess I'm gay, but I'm gonna be single and celibate, and I'm gonna be like very open and public about that so that I don't lose my spot in the
Yeah.
church, like as being
Yeah,
able to lead
because they'll
worship.
accept
And
you if you're gay, just as long as you're not acting on it, is what they
yeah,
say.
yeah,
Yes.
you can't
Yep.
follow the lifestyle.
Yes.
So i would
It's
i
so
would i would
messed
talk
up.
about how, like, when I would talk about it, I would say I struggle with same-sex attraction. I wouldn't say I'm gay because
Yeah.
that was too much to say at
You're
that time.
owning it
So
if you say that, you're
yeah,
you're you're wearing that demonic, as they would call it, label or whatever, which is
Yeah.
when I talk about these things, it's so silly to me to say these words and speak this language now because it's so foreign to me. I'm so far removed from it. It's like I used to talk like that, and I can't
Yeah.
believe that I used to talk like that, right? Because it's
Same.
so ridiculous to say, I'm willing to love you, but only like 75% of you, or
Yeah.
not even 75%, because we were
As long
taught
as
that,
you don't bring
yeah,
that up.
yeah, don't bring that up. Don't talk about it. Don't ever dare say you think somebody's cute or something like that. It's like you have to act like you're not even human. And that's
Yeah.
not fair. When I think about justice and what that actually looks like, I think of equality for all people, not just people that believe like I do or live like I do. That's
Yeah.
not fair. And I would think that, out of all the places that you should be able to find that, the house of God should be one of them. It should be the place where queer people should be able to run to find safety from the
Yeah.
people that would want to harm them. And that's how I ended up finding you, was because of your music. Because your music has been so powerful to help people that are deconstructing, to help give them hope, to know that they are still seen and they're loved and they're affirmed, and God loves them as they are in the fullness of their queer identity, or their trans identity, whatever that may be, however they identify. You are loved at the core of your person. And I think that is such a powerful message, especially right now. We have so much hate and negativity in the world, and you are just such a positive force for so many people.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
That's really sweet. Yeah, I mean that's what drives me. I think just having had the experiences I did, and knowing what it's like to not have any, and nobody modeling what my potential future could look like in a healthy, happy way, right? The only
Yes.
messaging that you get is, or that I got as a kid who was, super isolated and super cut off from the world, as they love to call it, be in, not of the world kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know that I didn't know there were other queer people. First, I didn't know what queerness was. I didn't know what the
Right.
thing that,
Yes.
afflicted me
Yeah.
was. I
Yeah.
just knew I was different. I knew something was wrong, and I knew that anytime I got close to naming it or talking about it or whatever, like, it was like the outcome was not good, right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
people would,
And if it was like
there,
me, I grew up, I, I have, my mother's side of the family has six girls in it. And my aunties, uh, two of them were gay, and one of them was bi. And I remember when I would ask about my mother's sisters and stuff, it was, we don't talk about them. They're going to hell and they're of the devil. And so as a little girl, that's always what I thought. And we never associated with them. And then when funerals would happen or something, and we would go to funerals, I would be, chastised. Do not speak to her. Do
mm,
not go over there. And I just remember being scared to death of whoever or whatever they were. I had no idea, but I knew it was wrong. And
yeah,
looking back now, I realize how awful that
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
because I carried that rhetoric as a young teenager into young adulthood. I didn't even know anything about them. I didn't know who or what they were. I just knew they were going to hell, and that's all that
Yes.
mattered. And then when it dawned on me after I left and looked back, I was like, oh, for the love of God, these were wonderful people.
Yes. And
What
yes.
happened?
That's literally what broke my, idea of queer people,
Yeah,
because I was taught from a young age that they're evil, they're going to hell, they're hurting children, all the things, we hear all the things. But I never knew any queer people, never met one in my life. And then I always, like back then, I felt like God kept bringing queer people into my life, he on purpose. And I know that. And it was like somebody I had sat in the church with, like I had seen this young man. We had been part of the church. I loved him. I loved his family. And it's like, wait a minute. He's not a groomer. He's a really good person. And like, a loving, compassionate person. And then I just started meeting more and more of these people. And then I met the woman that was struggling with her identity in the church. And I saw firsthand the way that she was treated by people in leadership. And that was it. Like, I
Mhm.
had to find more answers because I knew I had to love her, not listen to what they were saying, but love her as she was, where she was at in her struggles. And I was so happy that I got to perform her wedding ceremony when she married a woman.
Oh, that's so great.
So,
And you know, the other
it's,
thing is too is that I found is that when I look back now, the people that was taught to hate and despise were those people who loved me with open arms. And
yes,
the individuals that were harmful were the men that were sitting inside the church claiming, that they were going to heaven and that they loved God. So as a 27-year-old girl, when I first left, the cult or whatever you want to say, that was like a shell shock to me. It was like,
yes,
oh my goodness, the people that I was raised with were the evil ones,
Yeah.
yes. And
not the rest of
literally,
the world.
yep. And like, even as I was deconstructing, the LGBTQIA plus community was the community that was there for me to support me, to work with. I have a friend that's literally a Satanist, and she kept pointing me back towards my beliefs, like not
Hmm.
trying to drag me away towards what it is that they believe, but this is, keep on the path that you're on, And I was just like, I never had that kind of support when I was in religious spaces ever in my
Yeah.
life. So
Oh,
I
for
was
sure.
so blown away because I didn't know what that was supposed to look like. And when it showed up, I was like, wait a minute, the church is so flawed.
Yeah.
And every chance I get when I encounter and I have friends, I can honestly look at them and say, I'm so sorry. I'm
Yeah,
so sorry for the way I was raised. I'm so sorry
yeah,
that I wasn't taught in a Christian environment to love you and to open arms and to appreciate you. So I extend that to you as well, just to make sure that you know that it helps me undo what I was taught. Each
yeah,
time I'm able to stand and say, I'm an ally, and I'm so sorry how I was raised. But when I
yeah.
knew
Yeah.
better, I did better. And I'm so thankful for individuals like you that have come into my life and been able to change indoctrination at the core of my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Mm,
tell us about your music,
beautiful.
Flaming. I want to
Yeah.
hear about your music. What are you working on a project right now? Are you working on anything now?
Yeah, I am. uh, we just recorded my third full-length record in May,
Oh,
and
wow.
here in Asheville, and so we're really kind of just starting the post-production stuff because we recorded it in May and then it was immediately Pride Month, and
Yeah.
I've basically been on tour ever since then. I literally just got back home
Yes.
last night.
Yeah, because I
Oh,
Uh,
follow you online, when you're going to your different events and stuff. I'm like a social media stalker. I just I love to support the people that I love to
groupies.
support. That's
yeah.
all.
That means everything. It really does, especially for those of us who hate social media.
Yes.
I do. I'm so like it, if I could ditch it today, I would. I hate it so
Yeah.
much, but it's just such a facet and a feature of how artists, do our
Yes,
work in
it
in
is.
2026. So I appreciate people who like it and know how to use it and know how to support people on it. So
Yeah.
thank you for that. But yeah, just we're getting into the post production stuff, and I mean, I had hoped that the record would be out this fall, but it's not going to be. It's definitely going to be later than that, and I think I'm probably just going to go ahead and push it into the spring of next year
Yeah.
just to really make sure we have enough time to do everything we need to do.
Well, it
But
does take time to get everything tweaked and edited and just the way you want it to be? I mean, it's
exactly, yeah,
important when you're releasing it because it's going to be out there forever. So you want it to be
exactly,
what you want it to be,
yeah.
you know?
Want it to be right, and then you want it to get in front of the right people, and you want to give it its best shot to get on radio and all of that. So yeah, so I think it's going to be a great record. I'm really, really pleased with how everything came out in the studio. It's very, for anybody who's listened to my music so far, like this one, we take a really hard left turn back into kind of the Appalachian
I love
string
it.
band mountain
Ooh, I
music.
love it. I
Like
love it. I love
there's definitely
it.
some yeah, it's definitely some bluegrass influences in there, and so it's a little different from what I've done, which is to date has
Yeah.
been a little more, I think, pop country, folk country
Yes.
accessible, and this is like, no, I want the mandolin and I want the banjo,
Yes.
like,
But
and the
there's
fiddle, and bring
something
them all
about
in.
them though that just is kind of it's native to the area. Like it is. It is
Yeah,
such a North Carolina thing to have the bluegrass and the banjos and stuff. So I
yeah,
love that. I absolutely do. And I think you'll have an opportunity to probably draw in more people with that too, that might
yeah.
not have heard
Hopefully,
your music before. That'd be so
hopefully,
cool.
yeah,
So what's your
yeah.
most favorite song that you have out now?
Mm. Oh wow, interesting question. I know, like, my favorite one from each record, I guess. Well, no, I'll say this. I think my favorite one right now is a song called Magna Mater that it's a single. It's not on a record. But we released it as a single last year, I think in the fall. Um and it was actually kind of the first time I was experimenting more with an Appalachian sound, and that's because the song is about an ancient Phrygian goddess named Cybele, who I had never heard of before, but I stumbled across like on the internet one day because I was trying to find a rhyme for water. There's a line
Yeah.
in the song that says, it says hell or high water, and so I was just literally Googling like what rhymes with water because
That's what we do.
songwriters sometimes we just need we just need rhymezone.com to help us out a little bit. So
I'll do the same thing
um
with writing. I just, when I'm looking for a
yeah,
word that's different but not the same,
yeah,
yes.
powerthesaurus.com, that's a
Yes.
good one. So anyway, it just took me to that Latin phrase magna mater, and I was like, what's that? So I clicked on that and started doing a whole bunch of research, and it's a phrase that means great mother, and
Okay, wait. Is this the story behind the picture of you with the belly, the big
yeah,
okay, I love this. I'm glad that
yeah,
you're telling this because I was going to
yeah.
ask you about that.
Oh, good. Yeah. It was all, which, so much of my life has felt this way. Felt kind of happenstantial,
Yes.
circumstantial, happenstantial. And, but because I stumbled across that phrase, it just led me down one of those rabbit holes on the internet that you do sometimes. And like, I came up for air 3 hours later after spending all this time watching these like deep cut YouTube videos about this goddess, whose name is Cybele, and she was the like the nature goddess, the goddess of fertility. She was always flanked by two lions or tigers, and she had some really like fascinating stories in her lore, including a story that I kind of read as like a trans love story. Um, uh, it was kind of violent, but it's the ancient world.
Yes. Yes.
It's a violent world sometimes. So,
Yes.
but anyway, I was just kind of like fascinated with her, and so when I finally got back to writing the song, it became about her, and but I already had kind of the little like I don't know, bluegrassy riff I was working with,
Yeah.
and so I decided I would transplant her from ancient Phrygia, which I think is Turkey now. I think
Yeah.
that's where that is geographically. But I would transplant her from there and just put her in the South, in the modern day American
In
South, and so
Appalachia.
she's yeah. Yeah, and not even just Appalachia, but she's in Florida. She's like all over the Southeast
Yes.
in the song, and so it was just really fun to kind of play with this, metaphorical goddess like thing, but in our own world, in our own time,
Yes.
and what would she be doing? What would she look like? If she were, from the American South, and anyway, I just love how that song
I
came out,
love
and
that
it's
though. That is so
yeah,
cool how you did the research on her though, and were able to take it from there to turning it into a song. Like,
yeah,
and I will definitely put the picture in the show notes because
yeah.
the cover
Well,
art
that was
for
the
that is so
that
beautiful.
was
Like,
the fun part when we got to actually like doing a photo shoot and doing a little bit of a, it's not a typical music video, but we filmed some video for social media. And I was like, yeah, let's just go all in. This is the great mother. Like,
What were
I'm
the
gonna, I'm,
comments
I'm
like
gonna,
on
I'm
that?
gonna
What were the
do.
comments though? I know they had to have been atrocious because I know how
Uh, you
awful people
know,
are on the
I mean,
internet.
yeah, there were definitely some, I'm sure. I don't, I don't remember if it was. I don't feel like it got a lot of attention from the wrong side of the internet. I
Well,
think
that's
it was,
good. You got
yeah,
so
mostly
lucky.
good. Yeah, because I've had plenty of the wrong attention,
Yes,
but
yes,
I don't think this one crossed over too much. But no, it was just so fun to do like
yes, it was.
pregnant goddess drag, you know?
It was, and it was absolutely beautiful. And when I was, getting ready to do stuff for the show, I saw that picture and I was like, I am going to have to ask them about that one because I need to know the tea.
Yeah, yeah. We filmed it down the street from where my mom lives in this little creek. Uh, it's just like a walking path,
I love
and
that.
yeah, it was so fun.
So, do you still have a good relationship with your parents and family since you started doing all this and came out and everything?
Well, that question has about as many answers as I have family members.
Yes, yes,
It's just a different relationship with everybody.
yeah,
So, um, my mom, like, I have a great relationship with my mom. She's come a long way in terms of understanding who I am
yeah,
and what I do. She's, we still have some differences of, well, not even beliefs, because my thing is I just don't really believe
yeah,
anything anymore, because belief isn't the point for me. Practice is, spiritual practices. But she
yes.
still believes what she believes. But at the end of the day, she prioritizes love
And that's
over
so
her
important.
beliefs. Yeah, and I think
Yes,
that's great. And then it just runs the spectrum with the rest of my family. My
yes,
siblings, I'm very tight with my siblings. We are, when I'm home, they both live. My sister lives in town, and my brother lives just across the South Carolina state line. So we see each other when I'm home from tour, and when I'm not on, or when I am on tour, we are Marco Poloing constantly.
yeah.
We just so yeah. And then I've got like lots of cousins and aunts and uncles all over
Yeah.
who, some I'm closer with than others, and
And
some I
that's
will probably never
typical
speak to
with just,
again.
yes. And that's kind of typical with any family, though. At some point,
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, we're not going down the same roads or whatever.
yeah.
So, if you knew somebody was, struggling with their identity and in religious spaces, what would you say to them?
Well, it's such a an important question, isn't it? And I do say things to people all the time, because I encounter those folks all the time, and it's such a case by case basis, because some people aren't quite ready to hear the full, hey girl, let's get you out of this absolutely
Yes.
toxic space where you
Yes.
can start to recover who you are and find yourself, and for the first time ask yourself the questions of who you are, instead of who do people expect you to be. Like, some people aren't
Yes.
Yes.
aren't quite there yet, and so that's a much gentler conversation.
Yeah.
Whereas other people are, in the throes of it, or just, ready to like jump ship, and they're like looking
Yes.
for where is the dry ground I'm going to land on, what
Yeah.
Yeah.
is the solid ground, because we often don't know.
No.
I didn't know, when
It's like
I
the rug's
was
pulled out from underneath you.
yeah,
You go from
Right.
everything being prescribed for you, have an absolute certainty, knowing exactly how your world is supposed to work, to not
yeah,
knowing anything because the world out there is nothing like what you were taught it was, right?
yeah,
And you feel like, it's almost like a movie where you're just putting into a different country, right?
yeah,
Because you're having to relearn everything all over again. And I always say it's like, some of us are like in our 30s and 40s, and it's like we're in our teens all over again because we're getting to experience life for the first time in a way that we've never
yeah,
gotten to experience it before. And it's such a beautiful thing. but it's also important to find community while you're going through this. I really think that's so important because you can go off the rails if you don't have solid community, you know.
Yeah. Well, and I
Um,
think that's ultimately the main thing I would want to convey and get across to folks is that like there is a place for you.
yes,
There is community. There are so
absolutely.
many folks who have traveled this road that you're on. And I know it feels like you're going to step out into thin air and not have anything to stand on. But it's a leap of faith, but in a different way than you've ever been told before.
Yes.
Like you have to trust, maybe not in some unseen, sky daddy figure.
Yes.
You have
Mhm.
to trust in yourself first and foremost, that
Right.
you have got yourself, and then you also have to trust that you will find that community again, when you leave one behind, because that's the
Yeah.
biggest, hardest part of it, is like all of the people who we have loved our whole lives and who we believe have
Yes.
loved us, and in many cases have loved us to the best of their capacity.
Yes.
But we're also like, caught up in the delusion of the cult. Like, it's hard to acknowledge that, even the people with good intentions in those worlds like could
Can
still have
still
done
car.
damage to us.
Yes. Yes.
And so it's all of that, and it's really just like, I mean, that's part of why I love drag so much, is that it is a bold, brash look at me, like it is like,
Yes.
drag is meant to pull focus, right? It is meant,
Yes,
you're
it
meant to walk
is.
into the room, the spotlight come on you, and people are supposed to turn
Yes.
and look. And that's kind
And
of
it's
the
amazing.
magic of it, because that's the
Yes.
magic of it, because then you get to be the one who says like, we're over here,
Yes,
like
and we're
Right.
not
we're,
going anywhere, right? Like
yeah,
we are not going anywhere. We have always been here. We're always going to continue to be here. It's not going like it's just going to keep growing, right? Like at this
yeah,
point, because the more safe spaces that we provide, the more comfort that people have to come out and authentically be themselves. And I
yeah,
really don't think we would have so much hate as we do today if people were literally just allowed to be free to be themselves without being
yeah,
taught that who they are is a sin and is going to damn them to hell, right?
yeah.
Because honestly, it's that ideology that really damns people. Like
Hmm.
it's not,
It's
people actually,
fear.
yes, it does. Because then you have people that, end up sexually deviating in ways because they hide who they are and then they hurt people that they love and all this other stuff. And it's like, if they could have just been themselves, you wouldn't have had to worry about that. You wouldn't have had to
Yeah,
worry about this person being in a marriage for 15 years and having a couple of kids and then them getting a divorce down the road because one of them is still gay. They've always been gay, right? But we see
hmm,
this happen time and time again. And then it's not just you're hurting one person, you have all this collateral damage when you do all that. So I think it's so much better when people are, okay to know that, you can be who
Mhm.
you are. There are people out there that are going to love you and accept you. And it's hard and it can be lonely at times, but there is so many of us out here that are just waiting with open arms to accept you exactly as you are. We don't have to judge you to love you. We just
yeah,
have to see you. We just have to see your humanity. And we all have that in us. So I love the things that you are doing. I love the work that you do, the music that you're creating. I love the fact that you show up the way that you do because you're right. Drag queens get noticed because they're so freaking amazing. Like the makeup skills alone are to die for, okay?
I
I
have
learned
to tell
everything I
you,
know from a drag queen.
I
So,
was going to tell you,
yeah.
I was like, whenever you go through my TikToks or social medias, right? It is like one drag queen after the other because I sit there when they're putting on the makeup and stuff
Yes.
and I'm like, so fascinating. I can't do that.
Listen, last year I went to Pride in Atlanta and shaved off my eyebrows so I could do a drag look for the first time. And my
Amazing.
my
That's
my friend in North Carolina, she's like, "You're not actually gonna do that, are you?" I sent her a picture of me with no eyebrows. She's like, "Holy shit, you did
yeah,
it!"
yeah. That's commitment
I was
right
like,
there.
"Listen,
That's
you gotta commit
That's
to the
good.
bit. If you're gonna do a thing, do it."
yeah. I know plenty of drag artists who, still take
Yes.
the time to glue down their eyebrows every time. And I did it for like 6 months maybe, and after
Yeah.
6 months I was like, I'm exhausted and I'm
Yes.
tired of these Elmer's glue sticks, and I just
Yes.
started shaving my
My
brows. And
my friend that does drag that lives in Atlanta, he just keeps them shaved all the time. He's like, listen, there is no sense. If he wants to go out looking more normal, he'll put on those tattoo eyebrows or whatever. But
yeah,
most of the
yeah,
time, he doesn't even bother. Like, it's like stupid.
yeah. I've come to like recognize myself better now without the brows, and like
Yes.
I'm just
But it's because it's who you are. Like,
yeah,
it's like when you go to work in a factory, you're going to get the right kind of shoes. Well, when you're a drag queen, you're going to make sure
that's
your
right,
eyebrows are shaved off so you can paint them on the right way.
that's right,
Because it
that's right.
depends on how you look, on how you want to draw. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to spend some time with us, share your story with us, talk about your stuff that you have upcoming. I'm definitely going to leave all your links in the show notes for our guests because I want them to be able to find you and find your work because it's so incredible. And you empower just so many people to just be themselves and love themselves as they are. And we need more of that in the world. So just thank you for being such a beautiful person and sharing you with us, and
Oh
sharing Flamey
gosh,
with us because we
Yes.
need more of that.
thank
And you
you. That's so
inspire,
kind.
even me being a straight female, right? Um, when I listen to your music and I am so like inspired and it's so like I don't even know how to describe it, but it does something to me to know that people can be authentically themselves. And
Yeah.
I get to be a part of their journey. I get to
Hmm.
like support them and cheer them on and just even if it's from the sidelines, right?
Yeah.
Know that there's groupies out here on your social media that
Yes.
are loving every minute of you.
And
Oh, that's
honestly, it just gives
fabulous.
me hope that the tide is
Yes.
turning, right? That
Yeah,
we can encourage people that you can be a person of faith and be fully out in who you are in your queer identity, whatever that is, or you
yeah,
can
Yes.
walk away completely, and that's okay too. It's your
exactly.
journey. And
Yes.
spirituality is a very personal thing. We were all given the same prescription, but I promise you, if we go to the doctor, we're not all going to take the same medications because they're not all going to work for everybody. There's things that I'm going to be allergic to. And honey, some of
Hmm.
that Christian doctrine will downright make you sick. And if
That's
that's the
true.
thing that making you sick, you need to get out of that environment because you can't heal in the same environment that's making you sick. You've got to
Mm.
remove yourself from the toxicity, even if that is your grandma's neighborhood church that you've been in your whole life, because those people could unknowingly be causing you harm, especially if they are telling you that they can only love you conditionally or only love parts of you unless you deny parts of yourself. And that's not fair to who you are.
Okay,
So,
Heather, you got a from him. That was pretty on point.
That'll preach. That'll preach. That's
Absolutely.
a
I
whole
used
last
to be
sermon
a
right
preacher,
there.
but we're not talking about that. We ain't talking about me. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fabulous.
Thank you so much for what you've
Oh,
done,
thank
who
y'all.
you are, the if I can say this, the testimony that you have within, the
Yeah.
community, and just know that we appreciate you so very much and
Thank
admire
you.
you.
Yeah, and
Thank
it
you.
Thank
really
you.
is. That's what it is. It's a testimony.
Right.
And we were taught that our testimony was so powerful. And they're powerful of our deconstruction too. They are so much, and to me, I feel like they're so much more powerful on this side because we have that hope, joy, peace, and
Yeah,
love that we didn't have in those other spaces.
so true.
Hmm.
So thank you again for being here. And to our listeners, I just really appreciate you guys being here and hanging out with us again. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And as always, I will put all of Flamey's links in the show notes so you can find all of her work and listen to her music because it's so incredible and inspiring. Bye,
Yes.
everybody.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
If I drown, would you pull me back to you?
Religion has many victims, and these are the stories of how they survived.
The preceding podcast is solely owned by the host or hosts and is distributed by Big Media LLC. Copyright 2026.